Show. I'm your host, Alex. It's Sunday, and we are here because it's Sunday. We don't normally film on Sunday, but we are at the US Open, and we must film on Sunday because it's round four, knocking out our doors. Some of the matches still already started, some of the matches already finished, and this is what we were talking with Snize and James before going live. That Ashley Barty, Snice, you said to me about the stats, right? Tell us a little bit about that match.
Yeah, another big seed. World number 2, Ashley Barty, is out of the US Open. She played a horrendous match against Qiang Wang. Some notable stats there: 39 unforced errors, 0 for 9 on break points. Yeah, she was really, really bad. Looked just mentally out of it. At sorts, Wang was playing well, but gotta have to put a lot of that loss down to how horribly Barty was playing. She hasn't really been right since after the Roland Garros, to be honest. So yeah, this opens things up for Serena, who looks to
No,
have
no, no, please, no, please, no.
a bit of
This
a run here now.
No,
this
for
is something
Andreescu,
else.
for Andreescu, surely. Come on, that's what we
Yeah,
want.
who I hope
Oh,
you know.
I mean, she's on the other half though, so I mean, this is good for Keys though. This is great for
This is
Keys.
true.
I hope Bencic will have a deep run. I really hope she can do it. Yeah, there's another subject we talked before. It was who would you rather want? They were asking me to win the another Grand Slam, Maria Sharapova or Serena Williams. Well, it's a tough call, and I don't want to answer this question. To tell you the truth, I really don't want to answer the question. But yeah, very nice matches indeed on the women's part. So this is how we will start. Cory Goff, huh? Cory Goff out as we predicted. Naomi Osaka. What was that marketing, US marketing? Because I saw at the end that Naomi Osaka invited Cory Goff on her court interview, after the with a little bit of crying, with a little bit of sadness. But what is this bullshit? Come on, we are at the top level here. I understand that she's 15 or 16 years old. I understand she has all her career in front of her, and as I heard, she will win the most money from a marketing point of view. So I think that around 50 millions per season just from sponsors. Cory Goff, incredible, insane number. But yeah, we are there now in Osaka with a nice match there. Konta versus Pliskova happening right now. Pliskova 7-6 won the first set and serving in the second one 2-1 with break, and I think that it's going to be that way, that in that direction. Serena Williams, Petra Martic. What do you have for us on that match? If you have something, guys, anyone can start.
Yeah, I have a bet on that match, and I've gone with the under 19.5 games there. I think that Serena Williams, she's been playing pretty well in this tournament. She hasn't really been tested yet. We discussed on the last show that perhaps Karolina Muchova could pose a bit of a threat. The Czech had been in good form. She was easily brushed aside in straight sets, couldn't really contend. And I don't think that Petra Martic can either. She's really a player that's at her best on clay. She lacks the weapons you need in order to defeat Serena Williams. You either have to be an amazing defender that can force her to hit so many extra balls over and over and over, like Simona Halep, or you have to be a player that's able to overpower her completely off the ground, like perhaps a Karolina Pliskova in great form would be able to. But Martic doesn't really have any of those weapons, and to top that off, she's not really a great competitor. She can get down on herself when things aren't going well. She can get a bit annoyed. Some of that Yugoslavian rage or something. Yeah, she's like. So yeah, I don't really think that she competes. Serena wins at straight sets, a couple of breaks. I think something like 6-2, 6-3. Pretty simple victory there. So that starts after Federer. Oh, Federer already beat Goffin. That was a beatdown. Okay, so that starts in
That
just
was
a bit
fast.
then.
That
Very
was fast
fast, yeah.
for Federer.
Yeah.
Madison Keys, James, 1.76 against Elina Svitolina. A nice price on Madison Keys. I thought that she will be around 1.5, to be honest, but I will take her at 1.76.
Yeah, I think you can actually get slightly longer even. I'm just having a quick look now. But yeah, I mean, this is a good example where I feel the market is, so 1.81 with Pinnacle, 1.83 with BetHard. I feel like the market is pricing in how well Svitolina's played so far this week.
Yeah,
And
good
yeah,
performance against
Yastremska.
her fellow country woman Yastremska. Hello, James Ross. He's with us. James Ross, as always. Thank you for watching us. So continue, please.
But yeah, I think it's one of those ones where I would agree that Keys probably should have a bit more of an edge, really, based on more than the last 2-3 matches. I don't feel like Svitolina's been at her best. But yeah, I do think that'll be very close. I think that'll be a tight match as long as Svitolina can keep up the level she's shown so far this week. But anything over 1.8, certainly 1.75, you have to feel like that is value on Keys there.
Granville Crowley is also with us, and he's shouting at Snize. So Snize. So great performance from Christy Ann. You went with the underdog again, and she went in the second week of a Grand Slam. Absolutely insane for her right now, and she doesn't have let's say an intense match, a tough match, a tough opponent in the fourth round. She's going with Elise Mertens, and she's priced even better this time at 3.55 slice.
And this is an interesting matchup here. I know that we discussed this matchup actually on the show when they last faced off. Trying to remember which tournament that was. Was it San
Did we?
Jose? Yeah, San Jose. Yeah. And I went with Mertens. James went with On. James won there. It was a landslide victory for On.
Yeah, I remember now.
Yeah.
Because he was
And-
saying he prefers ATP, and he came with a bang, bang on the WTA.
Yeah.
Beginner's luck.
Indeed, and that was just a month ago, and it's not really that much that has changed. Christine On, I mean, apart from she looks a bit like a mummy. I don't know how they can keep taping up her body because she has tape everywhere. But she seems to be playing really well this week. Elisa Mertens is the favorite, and she looks really short. This should be a very competitive matchup, and I can't fault anyone for going with On again. She's exhibited great form here, and I can't see the reason why Mertens would be an overwhelming favorite here. She hasn't even been that tested in her run yet. So yeah, definitely looks a little long.
Mertens was a bit shorter when they met in San Jose, and the big reason I was interested in the match then, I mean, beyond all the obvious things, I mean, Arne is an excellent player in general to bet on, and I would argue Mertens is probably a decent player to oppose on the whole, although, as you pointed out at the time, not amazing to oppose on hard courts. But the key thing with that matchup was that she hadn't really done anything on hard courts yet. And so I felt like she might be caught cold coming back for the hard court season. I didn't feel like she'd been playing her best tennis then. I think that's still largely true now, but of course she has quite a few more matches under her belt on the hard courts. She's actually, I feel like she's been pretty good this week coming into this. I think you're right. She's not been tested that much. But obviously, at least part of that is just that she's not really let anyone in. She's been very clinical, from the back of the court and very, very focused. So that would be my only issue, is that we're taking a shorter price with her in better form. But yeah, I mean, Anne's been superb this week. She really has been very, very good.
Yeah, but still, you can get her at plus 4.5 games on the Asian handicap at 1.95. Plus 4.5 games. I think that she will not lose. I think that she will not get destroyed. I think that she will make a good performance against Mertens.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the games handicaps and women's generally. I'm just not sure if I would do that well with them. But yeah, I certainly think she'll keep it competitive. I don't think that it's likely that Anne just falls away, having played so well this week. Although, as you mentioned, Snize, she has got a lot of strapping. There's a lot of a lot of potential issues that could come up for her, especially in the slam. Things that could end up being slightly difficult physically. This is quite a unique situation for her, and mentally as well. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think if anything, the value is definitely with Arn in this one still.
Okay, let's go to the heavyweights right now. Osaka Bencic. Bencic at 3.0. Give me 1 unit on that. I think that she deserves 1 unit Bencic on that. 3.0. I think that she's better than that, okay, Osaka, ex, not, how you say, she won the US Open last year. I understand that she's in great, I understand that she's in great form right now, but not, she hasn't been tested. Blinkova, net, Goff, come on. You can do better than that.
I wouldn't say she's been in great form. I think she played probably the best match I've seen for her this year against Goff. And she just looked a lot more focused in that match than I've generally seen her being. But I don't think it's fair to say she's been in good form generally at all this year. And I don't really think, and I don't think she's been great at all against the top players. Bencic was my tip in the article going up for tomorrow's matches. And I made the point that, Osaka has actually only won, I think it was 4 of her 12 matches when priced as the slight favorite, so 1.5 to 2 against top 20 players. And Bencic is 13 in the world. Bencic also leads the head-to-head 3-1, defeated her this year. 2 of those wins came this year, one of which was in Indian Wells, priced very similarly 2.7 in Indian Wells on the hard courts. So there's a lot of, and her record, Bencic's record against the top players is absolutely ridiculous. She has something like 90% ROI as an underdog against the top 20. So
more than that, she won her match with Kontaveit without even playing. So she's very relaxed right now. She stayed in her room and she said, okay, I'm not even going to play. I know I'm winning, so give me the win and give me Osaka next. No, really at 3.0. James, you have to refresh or something. You have to come back on the show because your internet connection is not very good and your camera is not such clear. James is coming back, but till that time, Osaka versus Bencic is nice.
Yeah, so definitely mirroring you guys here. This is the matchup that I have had circled since I saw the draw. I had some reservations in my pre-draw article going with Bencic because she was coming off a left foot injury. But if you follow me on Twitter, you saw I went in on her to both win her quarter at 15 and to win outright at 46. With this matchup in mind, I can't understand why Osaka is such an overwhelming favorite here because, as James has mentioned, Bencic is a giant slayer. She is absolutely incredible against the very top, the creme de la creme. She is 3-0 head-to-head if you count only at the WTA level. If you count, it's a 2017 Hopman Cup.
2-0 in 2019.
Yeah, she's 2-0 this year. 1 win, straight sets, beat down at Indian Wells. 1 in 3 sets on clay. So clearly, this is a matchup that the Swiss player enjoys. She's been able to absorb all the pace and power that Osaka throws at her, redirect it, and punish her. So obviously, this is a great matchup for Bencic. And like James also said, Osaka really hasn't been great. She did tell us that this is the most focused she's been since the Australian Open, actually, in that matchup between Coco Gauff. And it was a great match for her. But still, she hasn't really coped well with the pressure of being world number 1, the pressure of having all eyes on her, the pressure on playing in front of her home fans, having to perform. And we've seen that she's wobbled on more than a few occasions, and that knee is still a concern when she's going to go up against extremely stern opposition here. Banshees has no pressure on her here. She loves the big stage, and there's no way she should be priced at 3. I had this closer to a pick'em. Statistically, there's almost nothing in between them. Both have whole break stats of the year around 108, around 1920 on the ELO. So very, very happy to side with Banshees here.
Blake Kersey is with us on chat. What's up, guys? At the casino now. Anyone has a banker? Yeah, I went with not tennis but football. I went with Inter Milan 4 units. I was saying to Snize that probably is the first time I'm playing 4 units on a match. 2 on Inter to win and 2 on Inter to score over 1.5 goals. But let's get back to tennis. Yes, very good, great value on Benčić to win against Osaka there. But Andreescu, huge favorite against 1,000. Absolutely 1 point, how much?
1.25.
1.25, the best odds with the Bet365. 2-0 though. Straight sets, 1.72. Interesting there. James?
Yeah, I think Snize went with Andreescu in the treble. It's not really my price range. Anything at that kind of price, I'm going to find hard to find a lot of value on it. I can see why it would go in the treble, given that Andreescu's never really lost in this kind of situation. Obviously, slight issue of Townsend playing very well this week, but you would expect that to probably be a bit of a one-off. So yeah, I mean, I would expect Andreescu to win. I'm not sure how I would take it. I think something like 2-love could make sense, or a game's handicap if you want to get involved. But it's a little bit difficult for me to read that much.
On the game's handicap, I prefer to go for 1,000 in this one, for Taylor 1,000. I would go with plus 5.5 on the Asian handicap at 1.71 with Unibet. I don't think that she will get demolished, destroyed. Andreescu is a constant player, but she doesn't demolish her opponents. Very rare to see her demolish her opponents. So Taylor 1,000 with a brilliant first week. She won against Simona Halep. She won against Sorana Cârstea, so she beat 2 Romanian players during her US Open campaign this year. So yeah, I will go with plus 5.5 on the Asian handicap at 1.71. What do you say is nice?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go against you there. I have a good line here. Bet365 hanging a minus 4.5 line, paying 180 on Andreescu, and I like that. I wrote about this match in the treble. So just echoing a bit what I've said here. There is that Taylor Townsend, obviously, she's been the story of the tournament, taking down Simona Halep.
Come on. She did? No.
She did indeed. I know it's not a dream. Unfortunately, your Romanians are dead, man. Yeah, but she had to work hard even to get to the main draw. Actually, she had to come back from a set down twice in qualifying, and she hadn't really played. She's played on the ITF and the Challenger Tour level for most of her career, and really most of her year consists of these tournaments. So this is the first for her.
Yeah.
And she lost the first set, heavily versus Halep 6-2. But she then decided to change stuff. She came to the net over 100 times and really could find an edge there with the serve and volley. The Romanian wasn't really playing superbly. She had problems passing with her forehands. I didn't really see her do any lobs despite the frequency of Townsend coming to the net. She couldn't really exploit this rush strategy. But I think that Bianca Andreescu will have a lot more success with that, because I think that she's an even more complete player than Simona Halep is. She has the package. She wins 47% of her return points. That's third best on tour behind Marketa Vondrousova and Simona Halep. But she also has a staggering 38-4 hardcourt record this season. She's only been beaten by the absolute elite players, and a few of them losses or retirements as well. And she shows no signs of slowing down. She has the thundering ground strokes. She has the craft and variety. She can use slices, drop shots, and lobs to success to deal with the Townsend game. And I think that Townsend could be vulnerable here. when running round to the net. She has a great record against left-handed players. This is one thing I looked at here. Andreescu is 5-1 with whole breaks numbers of 123.7% against these players. So great record there. And I just think that Andreescu will be able to handle this rush. She's going to be outmatching the American from the baseline. And when she rushes to the net, she can use lobs, angles, and just hard shots. Townsend has some trouble covering the net and covering angles when she rushes, and she makes attempts at some quite poor approach shots there. So I think that Andreescu wins this in straight sets, and she's looked great this week.
Yeah,
here,
that straight sets win looks good at 1.72. You went with minus 4.5 on the Asian handicap, so not exactly against me, because if
we can both win
6-4, 6-4, 6-3, and that's it. Raskin Luna is with us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us for this video, this live video. So yeah, that's about it. Or if you guys have anything more, I have another match: Vekic versus Julia Gerges. Gerges. James, do you have something on that?
Yeah, so I was tempted by Gorges last round, and sadly didn't pull the trigger on that one. Went with Yastremska instead, which didn't go very well for me. But so I would be a little bit more hesitant with this match. I think the problem I have with this one is I do think she'll keep this close. I don't really feel like, I felt like Bertens was a better player to oppose this year than Vekic. I feel like Vekic has actually been pretty good. I wouldn't really want to be going against her. But yeah, given the level that I've seen from her opponent, I wouldn't really want to be going against her either. So you could maybe back on it going long, but again, I doubt that's a good strategy generally in women's tennis. So I just left this one alone.
Kevin Gerritz is with us. Thanks for joining, mate. Andreescu looks really confident. Weight of her shots look heavy. Yes, indeed. She's one of our longer shots to win the tournament. Top tips for this round. Snize on this women part, because we talked about most of the matches, but you must have a top prediction for this one.
Yeah, and it's Belinda Bencic. This is the matchup that I've circled ever since I saw the draw come out. I think this price is absolutely shocking, and the bookies are absolutely drunk. I think this should be very close to pick 'em. I'd probably line this Osaka 180, Bencic 2.0, because of how dominant she's been in the head-to-head, how great she is in this matchup versus power players, how great she is versus the creme of the creme 90% ROI, and that Osaka hasn't really been tested and hasn't really looked great all year. So definitely Belinda Bencic. I have a unit and a half on that one at 3.0.
That's great. You can take also, and I think that this is one of my favorites, Bencic plus 4.5 at 1.7. I think that should be a banker for this round. But yeah, Bencic at 3.0 looks absolutely tempting. James, what's your favorite bet? Don't tell me that also Bencic.
Yeah, I mean that was my article pick. That's by far the thing that stood out most to me. I think if I want to talk around it a little bit, I would say that in the other matches, I would probably personally avoid the Vekic match. I'm not too confident either way on that. I think certainly if you want to take a bet in that, I would definitely be siding with the underdog in some form. And then Andreescu, I think we've talked about a few options there. I think probably of those, my favorite was probably the 2-love to Andreescu. I think that was a good idea, because as you say, you can still have two tight sets.
Yeah.
But it's just unlikely that Andreescu's broken down there. But yeah, I mean, still, for me, by far the best bet was Bencic. I think it's a very good bet.
Black Kersey is saying, is Keys safe today? Well, safe doesn't exist when betting. So not any. If you want a safe bet, that's not the right place. We don't give safe bets, and safe bets don't exist. So yeah, but the kids, I think that she should beat Svitolina there at 1.8, as James mentioned on with Pinnacle. So that's it. On the women's side, we are going on the men's side, and Rublev, what a great week from Rublev, and more than that, straight sets win against Kyrgios and against Berrettini. Great matchup there against Berrettini between. I think that yes, we made a mistake on that Rublev Kyrgios. We expected a longer match, but Kyrgios, as we talked on our previous. In the third set, he was pathetic, but yeah, he should have won that second set at on tiebreak. I think that Snize said also that he went 4-0 double.
Winning break. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, very very bad, unfortunately. But 2.45 for Rublev was a great win there, and Federer, as we mentioned, 6-2, 6-2, 6-0 against Goffin, a great win for Federer. I read your article last night, Medvedev versus Kopfer, and you went for the German +6 or something on the Asian round.
6.5. Yeah.
6.5 on the interesting approach after what Medvedev is doing for the last, I don't know, many weeks. I've seen him playing absolutely superb tennis also against Feliciano Lopez, and we were also leaning for over 3.5 sets there against Feliciano Lopez, and that came through. Medvedev was booed during his interview after he won against Feliciano Lopez, but he brilliantly answered the crowd, saying that that's the spirit. Thank you for everything. I'm playing for you guys. You are giving me the energy. This is how I'm winning match after match. It was superb. Kevin Garrett is asking, how about Dimitrov? He must really need a good paycheck. Dimitrov.
Yeah, he's 2 sets up again. Well, he's a set and I think
Not
he's
yet.
struggling
Not
for
yet.
the second
Yeah,
set.
you never know with Dimitrov. He's the kind
Yeah.
of guy that you don't know about what's happening with him this season, at least, or also last season. But yeah, this Medvedev guy, give us your reasoning on that, Snice.
Mhm. So I think it's been we've been discussed this on the show as well. I think it's been more and more pronounced that Daniil Medvedev is nearing his physical limits. He's currently running on fumes. He took an MTO for a left hamstring injury in his first round. He had bad cramps and embarrassingly lost the set to a really horrible player in Hugo Dellien. In the second round, he had cramps yet again and really played the villain, antagonizing the crowd. He tossed a towel at a ball boy, I think, or like snatched it from him, and then gave the crowd the middle finger versus Lopez. And he's really just trying all these things to give himself some energy. And I don't think he's really fully fit at this point. He looks really tired. His returning has struggled a lot. I outlined that he's only taken, I think it was 7 out of his 33 breakpoint opportunities in his last 2 matchups, a woeful conversion rate there. And he's very impressed by the way Dominic Koepfer has been playing in this tournament. He qualified. He's really free rolling. He has nothing to lose. This is the biggest stage of his life, and he's been just embracing the opportunity. He took down a number 17 seed about Nicolas Basilashvili last round, though aided by Basilashvili just playing horrible tennis. But still, he's been playing impressive. He's been protecting his serve really well. And I think that Medvedev won't have it as easy as people would expect in this one. I would expect he still gets through, but I think it's going to take 4 sets or it's going to be 3 close sets. He hasn't really been a breaking machine as of late. And if we get 3 6-4 sets, that handicap comes in. And if Koepfer should win a set, that's looks very, very good. So yeah, I think he'll have a tough time of it today, and I think that line is a little bit big, given the circumstances.
Yeah, that's a great breakdown. James, Rublev at 1.52. Isn't that too low for Rublev? Berrettini at 2.63 with the Betfair right now. Some bookies have him at 2.7. Should we go with the underdog, despite the fact that Rublev played some exciting tennis this past week?
Yeah, so I think Rublev, of course, my quarter pick at 29. So he's
Yeah,
now down to 2-1 for this
five.
quarter.
2-1. Wow,
2-1 with
yeah.
Monfils favorite at 2.5. So that's good. I think he's played really well. I think Snize was definitely unlucky with the overbet in that match. I think the first two sets were tie breaks, which we also tipped, of course, at 3.5.
Yep.
And as you say, Kyrgios led 4-love in the second set. So you can't really, that's a very, very unfortunate situation, I think. But as you say, he then faded in the third set. So it's slightly difficult to gauge exactly how much Rublev was pushed by that match.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, but I mean, at least on balance, Berrettini is a bit long here at 2.75. The major issues with him, mainly fitness related, of course, being injured before coming into this event, having I think an ankle injury. So he's now in a position where you would hope he's played himself into form somewhat. But probably the main thing that appeals to me about opposing Rublev is Rublev himself. He's just the kind of player that tends to do most of his best stuff as the underdog. Although when he gets on a roll, as we saw in Umag a couple of years ago and Hamburg this year, he very much can just plow through the opposition. So I find that match slightly difficult from the immediate fitness perspective. But yeah, certainly, if anything, I would definitely be siding with Berrettini there over Rublev. But the match that I was most interested in on the men's side was probably actually the Zverev match. Now, I think there's a couple of things about this. Like, I was surprised that Schwartzman was actually as short as 2. I thought that he would be priced up longer than that. But then when you actually look into the match a little bit more, it seems pretty clear to me that Zverev just has not been able to find any form against the better players this year. He's 0-4 against the top 50 when priced 1.5 to 2. So he's basically been unable to convert any of the close matches that he's played against these top guys, which to me just really puts me off. Because that is really where you expect him to perform well. Schwartzman, by contrast, has won 5 of his 6 against the top 50 when priced 2 to 3. And if you look at them, Schwartzman has a better service points, return points, 1 percentage this year. I think he's got about 1.5 percent more. He's also got, I think, an identical record in terms of wins or win percentage this year, but he has a much better ROI. I think Zverev's is minus 14% and Schwartzman's is plus 14%. So there's a lot of things indicating that the Argentine is the one who's the value pick of the two. And it would surprise me, especially on the form this week, to see Zverev winning that match. He's played almost twice as much tennis. He's got 10 hours of tennis in his legs. Schwartzman 5.5 hours. And Schwartzman hasn't dropped a set yet. He's looked very clinical. It's a given that the opposition hasn't been quite as good. But I mean, Zverev went to 5 sets in his first 2 rounds and then 4 sets against Bedney last round. Can't say that they were particularly clinical performances at all. I mean, someone like Radu Albot is the kind of player who was his opening round opponent. He's the kind of player that Zverev was demolishing a couple of years ago. But now he's really, really struggling to put these players away. So yeah, Schwartzman, I think if you can get anything evens or better, to me, I would expect him to come through that match. I don't think it's the best value. I think it probably should be more like 1.8. But following all the trends here, following the momentum, and I definitely would expect Schwartzman to come through that.
Yeah, interesting approach there. With Zverev not enjoying the best season of his career there. It's nice. Djokovic versus Wawrinka. When I see prices on Djokovic against Wawrinka, because he's not playing like against Marius Copil or whatever, you name it, 1.19. This is pathetic, I mean, How can Wawrinka can give him some headaches in this match and maybe win a set from Djokovic in this one? Yes, Djokovic straight sets win against Carvalhes Bena, Londero, Kudla. So this is what we are waiting also for this match against Wawrinka.
I mean, this is a very interesting matchup actually, and it's one I also had written a bit about in the treble article,
Mm,
and I said in that matchup that this is actually probably going to be a match. It's going to be a lot closer than people expect because
exactly.
Stanislas Wawrinka brings his best tennis to the majors, especially facing Novak Djokovic. If you look at their last 6 meetings, they've actually split them 3-3, and none have been decided in straight sets. 4 of them have gone the distance, all
Mm,
5 sets. So Wawrinka does have the weapons to hurt Djokovic. He can penetrate the defense with his lethal one-handed backhand and forehand combination. They're going to be playing at night, which actually favors Wawrinka, I feel, because Djokovic won't have the time to go on the aggressive and hit through Wawrinka, who can actually be rushed a bit there. So he will have the time to get the ball to sit up and roam in and then hit through it. So yeah, I don't really see Djokovic winning this in straight sets. I went with the over 3.5 sets in the treble, and I went with the over 35.5 Bet365 games there, because I think that's really though they can even hit in 3 sets. So yeah,
mhm.
definitely think this is going to be a lot closer than people expect. I would probably say Djokovic, and yeah, as Reed says in the comments here, Djokovic also has been struggling with a shoulder injury on and off during this campaign here. So against stern opposition, we'll see how that shoulder reacts. So yeah, definitely a lot of value in siding with Wawrinka in some way here, and I think we see at least 4 sets. Probably a very competitive match there.
Over 3.5 sets, 1.77, over 35.5 games, over 1.83. Noli knows who is making the unders great again is with us on chat. Hi, Noli. Yeah, that is a good approach on Djokovic versus Wawrinka. But Nadal versus Cilic, James, should be a straight victory there for Nadal, straight set victory for Nadal.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is one of those ones where I've got a bit of conflicting information. I think Cilic has exactly the kind of style and approach to the game which actually can cause Nadal a lot of problems. He takes time away, big server. He's obviously won in the US before. He's won the US Open before, so
Mm-hmm.
he could come into this with a lot of belief. But on recent form, definitely not. Cilic has been dreadful this year, really.
Yeah.
He's had a few flashes of looking like he might play well, which actually tempted me in to back him to win Cincinnati, where he then, of course, lost in the first round to Albot. So he's the kind of player who gives you these flashes, and it's slightly difficult to read them. I think on recent form, definitely not. On longer term form, I think he's actually given Nadal quite a few issues in the last few meetings. So I'd be mixed. I think given that Cilic is at 6-1, I'm
Yeah.
happy leaving that match. I don't really see too much value in Nadal. I looked at some of the under options, and I wasn't particularly interested. I think they probably will. Again, if recent form is the main guide here, which it usually tends to be, if that's the main driving force behind the match, then I think Nadal will win pretty comfortably. I'm just not sure if I could find much good value there, unfortunately.
Snize, best bet of this round for you.
Yeah, and it's a match we actually haven't talked about yet, and it's the match between Gael Monfils and Pablo Andujar. Yes, they play tomorrow. And I was on Monfils in the prior show against Shapovalov. I said that he's been fit and firing, and he's one of the most talented players in the game when he's in this kind of form. And he proved that winning in 5 sets, really should have been 4. He choked horribly there to take it to a decider. But was the better player there against a Shapovalov that has been raising his game. And yeah, he just has the combination of insane athleticism, combined with defensive skills and shot making. And he runs into Pavlo Andujar, who I've been underrating this week, and he's actually been really impressive. He's won 3 matches, 2 of the last ones in straight sets. And a thing that's been really helping him this week is that the courts have slowed down considerably. Both the courts are slow, and the Wilson balls are also quite slow, making the conditions slow down considerably, and that's helped making these conditions more like playing a clay tournament at altitude, or more the like than usual anyway, which has really helped the clay court specialist Andujar, who mostly plays his trade on the red dirt. And he's actually been protecting his serve well all week. I've looked at the last 2 matches here. He only conceded 4 breakpoints in total versus Lorenzo Sonego, who's a big hitter, for example, and he only was broken once in those. And I think he's been outplaying his career metrics on hard courts, which are pretty bad. And I looked at the total here, and it's looking very low, 35.5 for the over/under. And the bookies are assuming that Monfils will just run over Andujar, but I don't think that's quite probable. Andujar has great defensive skills. It's going to be a lot of long rallies. It's going to take quite a lot of work for Monfils to break down Andujar's defenses in this match, and I would expect the sets to be very long and competitive. And I don't think any player goes down in straight sets. So I went with the over here, 2 units. 35.5, got it at 1.94 with Unibet.
Yeah, that's a good approach. Nolly knows wants to bring the unders also in tennis. And a question for James: with high favorites in tennis, would an under bet be a better bet?
With short price favorites?
Yes.
It's really depending on the matchup. I think the problem for me is if you get matches where you have something like Cilic Nadal, where there's quite a clear history in the head-to-head of Cilic actually really pushing Nadal, really rising for that match. I'm just a little bit more hesitant. I think in general, especially if you've got a fairly return-oriented players or on clay, yes, the under bet can be a good shout for the very short-priced elite players. I think the key thing there is just looking back over the history. Has the under bet actually been a good bet? Generally, you don't have to make these things too complicated. Players tend to have a bias. They will either be short or long biased. If they're short biased, then for sure, yeah, take the under bet. That's a good shout.
Okay, what's your favorite bet for round 4?
From the men's?
From the men's, yes.
The bet that I suggested, Schwartzman against Zverev. I think, as I said then, I think that's a very good bet over evens.
Okay, that's about it for today. We broke down the round 4 matches on both women's and men's part. Some great matchups this round, and we will be back on Tuesday. Actually, not myself, but Snize and James will be back with Flash. We have tomorrow Euro 2020 qualifiers, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday matches. Me and Flash are breaking down almost every single game of the 3 days and tell you guys our favorite bets. Yeah, the boys will be back for the quarterfinals on Tuesday with Flash. But in the meantime, check oddsmarket.com because both James and Snize are writing some great articles where they are breaking down the matches every single day and they are giving the best bets for every single day. Plus, you have also some treble bets there. Thank you for watching us. We will be back, as I said, tomorrow with a Sports Bet Daily Show. But yeah, subscribe on YouTube. Check our Twitter page because we are giving everything there. Thank you, Snize and James, for joining me. See you guys on Tuesday. Best of luck with your bets.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. See you.